There we go. Morning, morning. Lovely to see you all this morning. It's a bit chilly, isn't it, this morning? So Milou is, I've got my helper here, Milou. So anything could happen this morning. Anything could happen. So this one was inspired a little bit by something I was listening to this week. One of my favourite podcasts called The High Low, is very sadly coming to an end. So I was listening to the penultimate one this week. And they mentioned this lovely Finnish word, and I think we've all heard of the Scandi term hygge. Is it hygge? You know, that kind of coziness that everyone got into a couple of years ago or last year. You know, lighting candles and wrapping ourselves up and feeling generally kind of enveloped in coffee and cinnamon to get us through the winter. And that's all very well and good, but I think that with these challenging few months ahead of us, we need to embrace this Finnish term, which is sisu. And the word sisu means grit and determination when faced with difficult obstacles and tasks. And it's the way Finns approach their long, cold winter. So sisu is a mindset and the way in which you go about your actions to overcome the challenge you're facing, as well as helping you to lead a balanced day-to-day lifestyle. And sisu comes from the root word which implies inner or inside, and that explains why it may sometimes be translated as guts or inner strength. You can see where this class is going today, can't you? So an expert on sisu, speaking from Helsinki University, explained that it's a special thing that's reserved for especially challenging moments, when we feel that we came to the end point of our preconceived capacities. Sisu is energy, determination in the face of adversities that are more demanding than usual. And I thought, goodness me, if there's a time when we need a bit of sisu, it's at the moment. So we're going to be stoking our inner fire. This is where our seat of resolve and determination lies in our bellies. So we're going to have a lovely twisty and turny class today. So we'll think about creating a bit of length through the spine first of all before we come to twist. And obviously anyone that's got any back issues or injuries, the further your knees are away from your chest when we're lying down, the easier on the back it is. And I'll be offering lots of options as well. So if you are struggling with a bit of a dodgy back today, then take it easy, work to whatever feels nice. And yeah, let's stoke our inner sisu for the coming weeks and months ahead. So we're going to start by lying down today. And what I think might be more comfortable, because we're going to be there for a little while doing a little breath-based sequence to start with, is to keep our feet on the floor this morning and the knees bent. So you can always pop something underneath your head if you feel that that brings your head into a more natural alignment with your spine. So get yourself nice and comfy. You can walk your feet apart and allow your knees to knock together. You can rest the arms down alongside you. Take a moment to get nice and comfortable. I'm just going to come up to seated and move my helper from my notes. He's been very thoughtfully guarding for me. Lovely. So closing the eyes, let's start our little twist-based practice this morning. Just with a moment to arrive at our practice. So yeah, see some of you may be bringing your knees up towards your chest, having a little bit of movement there. So do whatever you need to do before you come to stillness. Any tightness in the back you can release by having a little movement around there. And then just allow the body to settle into a nice, still and comfortable positions. And just checking that your head, your neck and your spine are in a straight line there. And just relaxing your face. Just letting go for the next hour of whatever morning or week you might have had so far. Settling into your practice, welcoming in this next hour. We're going to stretch it all out, get our juices flowing with a nice juicy twist-based class. So we're going to start by bringing our awareness to the area of the body that we're going to be working with today, around our belly, with some abdominal breathing. And I was reading a really interesting article from St. Thomas's Hospital about the benefits of this belly or abdominal breathing. And they said that it's the most efficient and relaxing way of getting sufficient oxygen into the body, into our lungs, that we possibly can. And it's a real release and counterpoise to that chest-based breathing that many of us end up doing at the end of a busy day or when we're stressed. So beginning just to focus your attention on your breath. You don't need to do anything other than just shift your focus to your breathing now. Without any desire to change the pattern of your breath. Just become aware of how fast or slow you're breathing this morning. Just notice whether you can feel the breath more comfortably in your chest or in your belly this morning. Neither are right or wrong. We're just simply becoming aware of our breath. Just notice whether there are any gaps or pauses between your inhalation and your exhalation. And then just put one hand on your upper chest, and one hand onto your lower belly. Relax your shoulders and your hands. The cat's going mad here. And as you breathe in, allow your belly to rise. And as you breathe out, allow your belly to fall. And see if you can continue with that now. Breathing in, feeling your belly dome up. And then feeling the abdomen flatten as you breathe out. And just see if you can limit any movement to that upper hand resting on your chest. The belly really swelling into the space beneath your hand and then falling back as you just allow the breath a little time to get into a regular rhythm there. And you might want to imagine that as you're breathing in, you draw half a circle with your breath around your body. And then as you breathe out, you complete the other half of the circle. Just allowing a moment for your breath to become really smooth, easy and regular. Again, feeling that lovely rising and falling of the belly beneath that lower hand. Trying to keep that chest on your upper hand as still, your chest as quiet as you can. Your breath might quite naturally have begun to slow down now. You might even be conscious of a pause between each inhale and exhale. Take a few more rounds of breath, just like that comforting, diaphragmatic or belly breathing. Best thing we can do if we're feeling a little bit stressed or overwrought. We can do it seated, we can do it standing, we can do it lying down. Just drawing the breath into the belly. So let's take one more round of breath there, breathing into that space just beneath your lower hand, keeping the hand on the chest nice and quiet. And then we'll just release both arms down alongside you, turning your palms down. Maybe a little wiggle of your fingertips down towards the end of your mat, so there's a space between your ear and your shoulders. Take 5 nice deep breaths in, moving the arms above the head as you inhale and lowering as you exhale. So let's start taking a nice deep breath in, raising both arms above the head. Back of the hands might even reach the floor behind you, softening the rib cage. And as you exhale, lower the arms all the way back down, keeping the fingers spread, so we're just beginning to wake up through the arms. Let's do 4 more like that, each time an opportunity to really draw the breath all the way down into your lower belly. A chance to replenish. Shoulders nice and soft, keeping that gap between your ear and your shoulder. And if you can't quite reach the floor behind you with the backs of the hands, you can always take your arms out into a nice wide V. I've lost count, so I'm going to do 2 more. If I'm doing an extra one, that doesn't matter. All the better. So let's make this our last collective breath together. Nice big breath in, gathering the arms all the way up and back as you inhale. And then exhale, we'll lower the hands all the way back down alongside you, turning the palms up towards the ceiling. We'll just bring the arms up, level with the shoulders. So you might want to tuck one shoulder blade and then the other a little bit closer towards each other, so you feel your chest opening there. Nice breath across the arms, and we'll simply separate the knees. So making sure your feet are wider apart than your hips. You can even scoot them a little wider now if that's comfortable. We'll come to our first easy twist, keeping the feet nice and wide. We'll take an inhale. And as you exhale, allow the knees to drop to the right. Just relaxing your right buttock there. So just adjusting the position of your feet just to accommodate any tightness in your back. And you might want to pick up your head and just allow your chin to roll towards that left shoulder there. Let's keep softening that underneath buttock. Just allow that movement to begin to travel up the spine this morning. I'll be seeing how that feels, starting off nice and easily before we come to anything more intense. So let's use an inhale to bring the knees back through center and the head. And then as you exhale, let's drop the knees to the left. So this time we try and relax the left buttock, allowing the knees to drop. You might again just want to turn your head in the opposite direction to your knees, keeping the arms nice and active there, spreading out through the arms, lengthening out through the fingertips. You might notice one side feels a little different to the other. Lovely. And let's see if we can work with the breath now, dropping the knees from side to side. So as you inhale, come back through center, maybe widening the knees as you come up through center. And then as you exhale, drop the knees to the right, maybe rolling head to the left. So inhale, keeping the knees wide as you roll through center and over to the left as you exhale. So just tune into your breath now, just a few more of those, rocking from side to side. And you might even want to start pressing that top hip in the same direction as your knees are going. If you want to just increase that stretch through the hips, you might feel a little arching of the back as you just scoot your hips towards your knees. Only if that feels good, and the head might still be rolling in the opposite direction to your knees again, if that feels comfortable. So I've got my knees dropping to the right. I'm going to do one more, dropping my knees to the left. So you just take your time to complete that cycle for you. And then when you come back to center from the left-hand side, we'll keep the knees pointing up towards the ceiling, but just walk the feet a little bit closer in towards one another, about hip width apart. Lovely. So we'll bring that right knee in towards your chest. And just take a little movement in the hip there. So you might just want to open and close that right knee a few times, or take it round in a few circles in one direction, using that right hand to steer the knee. Just loosen up through the hip joints. Lovely. So even though we're going to do some twists, we're not going to skimp on our stretches at the beginning. So right knee coming in towards the chest, holding on around the back of the leg, ready for a hamstring stretch now. So just interlace your hands to support that right leg as you take the leg up towards the ceiling. Little movement through the ankle joint this morning, again, as it's colder, really important just to loosen off and warm up through the joints. So a few circles through the ankle each way. Oh, some musical accompaniment to mine there. Lovely. And then we'll flex the foot. So push the heel up towards the ceiling there. We'll take an inhale. And as you exhale, point your foot, toes point away from you. So inhale, we'll flex, feeling the back of the knee open. And exhale, we'll point. Let's do one more each way. So we're flexing on an inhale. And then pointing the foot. Lovely. So when you come back to that flexed foot, just make sure that you've not hoiked that right hip off the floor. So soften the hip. So we'll come to our little moving sequence, taking the arms back and lowering the leg as you inhale, and then squeezing that knee in towards the chest as you exhale. So as you inhale, we'll reach the arms back and stretch that right leg out towards the floor, keeping the foot flexed. And as you exhale, bring your knee to your chest and maybe lift head and shoulders, coming up into a little squeeze there. So inhaling, releasing and opening, again, an opportunity to breathe deeply. And then Hugging your navel towards your spine as you bring that knee towards your chest. Lovely. Let's do 3 more. I promise we'll only do 3 this time. I'll keep count. That's 1. So 2 more times. If you want to keep your head on the floor today and just give that knee a little squeeze, feel free. Lovely. Let's make this the last one. You see, I did remember. So squeezing that knee in. Let's pause. Nose coming towards knee. If you've lifted your head, lifted your shoulders. Lovely. And then slowly, slowly, we'll lower the head, lower the shoulders. We'll extend that right leg once more up towards the ceiling. And then using the left hand, bring that right leg across the body. So you're stretching that right heel away from you, getting a little outer thigh stretch. So that right buttock will lift from the floor this time. Lovely. We'll come back to center. And then allow the right leg to open out to the right, little inner thigh stretch now. You can catch the leg from underneath if you need a bit of support. And maybe roll that left knee open so you come to the outside edge of the foot. Lovely. Keep pushing that heel away from you. Let's come all the way back through center. An option to come into a deeper twist by straightening the left leg out, heel on the floor, and then we bring the right leg across the body. Just releasing that right arm just alongside you or down by the side of the body. And if it's too much with that right leg straight, you can always bend your knee and gently bring that right leg across the body towards the floor. Lovely. Let's bring that leg all the way back up towards the center. Now, if that left leg is extended, press down through the heel as you take that right leg out to the right. Again, you can catch it underneath. So try not to lift that left buttock from the floor. Try to keep an evenness across your lower back there. Lovely. Let's come all the way back through center. Slide that left heel back in towards you so the knee points up towards the ceiling. And then last little bit, we'll cross your right leg above your left leg. So right leg crossing left leg above the knee if you can. Arms out, level with the shoulders. Just nudge your hips over to the right side of your mat a little bit, just an inch or so. Just come onto the ball of the underneath foot and tip your knees over to the left. So if it's too much today to have your legs cross, then just bring your feet and your knees together. You can take a little movement there. You can slide your feet further away from you again, so your knees are further away from your chest if you want less twist, or bring your knees up a little closer if you want more twist. So just being mindful of what's going on in your back today. Lovely. Let's slowly come all the way back through center. Uncross the legs. Just make sure your hips are square onto your mat. Let's walk the heels in towards your bottom there. Hip width apart, arms down alongside you. Let's just do a little shoulder bridge there, a little symmetry in between the asymmetry. So lifting up through the hips, pressing down through the feet. You might come up quite high. It might be a little bit lower today. Just see how that feels. Pressing through the feet. Make sure your knees aren't rolling out to the side. Lovely. You might want to rise onto the balls of the feet and keep the heels lifted as you slowly, slowly ripple your way down vertebrae by vertebrae. Oh, I'm going to take a jumper off now. I'm warming up. So let's do that with the left leg now. So we'll start by bringing the left knee in towards your chest there. Giving a little hug. And we'll do that movement into the hips. So it might just be opening and closing like a gate, swinging open, or you might want to circle it using that left hand as a little bit of a steer there. So whatever feels nice for the hip, just loosen it off there. Lovely. So again, let's find some space in the back of the leg. So holding on around the back of the thigh, hands quite low down towards the bottom to start with. We'll take the left leg up. Ooh, boy, that side feels stiffer. And we'll circle the foot. So it's amazing that asymmetries in the body. I can feel this side much tighter. So just check that, like me, you've not suddenly tensed your shoulders and your face when you came to a stiffer side. And then we'll flex the foot. Lovely, pulling the toes towards the face. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, we'll point the toes. So inhale to flex. And exhale to point. Let's do just once more. So you can feel the back of the knee opening and then stretching across the front of the foot. So we'll keep that flexed foot this time, ready for that little flow, moving the arms as well. So as you inhale, lower the leg, reach the arms back. So keep the foot flexed, a nice long leg. And as you exhale, knee to chest, and maybe shoulders away from ears, you bring your nose towards your knee. Lovely. Let's do that 4 more times. So 5 in total. So if you want to keep your head on the floor, but what we're doing, if you're lifting your head, lifting your shoulders, again, we're just bringing that awareness into our core, that area we're going to be working on today. So I reckon we've got 2 more, but maths never was my strong point. If we do 1 more, nothing bad will happen. Woohoo! I'm sure. Lovely. So we'll make this the last one. So knee to chest. And if you're lifting your head, lifting your shoulders, pause there for a little moment and then lower the head, lower the shoulders, and we'll take that left leg up towards the ceiling now. Ready for that little outer thigh stretch. So use your right hand to bring the left leg across the body this time. So this time the back of that left hip, your buttock might lift a little bit. Right knee stays pointed up towards the ceiling. Lovely. We'll come back through center for an inner thigh stretch. So we'll take the left leg out to the left, maybe allowing your right knee to swing open there. You can always support that left leg from underneath, catching it there for a bit of help. We'll come all the way back to center. Option to straighten that right leg so the heel stays on the floor. And we bring that left leg across the body. So again, if it's too much to do it with a straight leg, you can always bend your knee. Lovely. So my right foot has kind of rolled open there. Unlike the next version that we do, that foot's going to move a little bit. Lovely. Let's come all the way back through center. And this time, if you've got that right leg extended, we really press the heel down, toes up towards the ceiling as we come to that inner thigh stretch. So make sure that, again, you've not lifted your right buttock from the floor, even as across the back of the pelvis as you stretch that left leg out to the left. Lovely. We'll come all the way back through center. Slide that right heel back in towards you now. And we'll cross left leg over right leg. So you're crossing above the knee. No daylight between the legs if you can. Arms out level with the shoulders. Just move your bottom, scooch it over to the left this time. Let's pick up the heel. So come onto the ball of the underneath foot and tip the knees over to the right. Oh, and you might find, like me, again, one side feels a little tighter than the other. Sometimes it's nice just to move your head, just as we did before, rolling your head away from your knees, but kind of just see how that feels on your neck today. Lovely. And then we'll come all the way back through center, uncrossing the legs, bringing the hips once more to the middle of your mat, feet hip width apart. Let's come back into that little shoulder bridge. So arms down, lengthening fingertips towards heels. We'll ripple the spine up, coming up just between your shoulder blades if that's comfortable. So you might need to just move your head up your mat a little bit to create some space. And this time, if it's comfortable, you might walk your shoulder blades underneath you so you can interlace your hands and press the little finger edge of your hands down. See if you can lift the hips a little more. Knees tracking forwards and parallel. Lovely. Woo! Stretching and strengthening through the front of the body and strengthening the back of the body. So you might now want to lift up onto the balls of the feet so you can release the arms down alongside you. And again, you might want to keep your heels lifted. Ripple yourself down. Almost trying to place each vertebrae individually down onto your mat. Lovely. And then we'll bring the knees in towards the chest, crossing at the ankles. You can hold on behind your knees and roll your way up to seated this morning, or just roll to one side. I had to get rid of Milou. He was becoming very naughty. Kept attacking my toes. You'll have to watch it back on YouTube to find out what was going on when you were lying down. So let's come to a nice position with the legs outstretched in front of you. You can always pop something underneath your bottom if that helps you sit nice and tall. Lovely. So we're going to take the arms up as you inhale. Flexing the feet softly, we'll come into a nice forward fold. So again, before we do any big twists, we're going to think about lengthening the spine. So think about crown of the head forwards. So don't worry about kissing your knees or having your hands over your feet. You can always have your hands just drop down on either side of your thighs or your shins. Giving that nice length through the spine. You might even want to shake your head a little bit there, just releasing through the neck. Lovely. And then slowly we'll walk our way all the way back up to seated. So we'll take the arms up again, so take a nice inhale. And this time as we exhale, we'll take a little twist to the right. So that left hand just coming to your outer thigh or resting on your knee. And taking a little turn of the head perhaps. And just make sure that you're not slumping there. So think about really sitting forwards and right on top of your sitting bones there. Lovely. Let's come all the way slowly back through center, unraveling the spine. Inhale, reaching the arms up, and then we'll just come over to the other side as you exhale. So right hand finding a comfortable position, holding onto the outside of your thigh, your shin. Other hand again, quite close behind you. I've got my left hand quite close towards my bottom there, so it's propping me forward like a piece of scaffold. Lovely. Let's come all the way back through center. Adding on now, we'll slide that right heel in towards you, so the knees up towards the ceiling, keeping the foot on the inside of the thigh. Hands just resting on front of that right knee to help us twist to the right. So we keep the hands there as we begin to twist to the right. And then release that right hand behind you. And you can keep the left hand on the knee or hug your elbow around that knee. Again, sitting up nice and tall. So we're getting a little bit more ringing out through the spine now as you squeeze that knee a little closer in towards your midsection. Oh, I can feel that really getting into a nice tight spot just underneath my shoulder blade. Lovely. Slowly, slowly, let's come back through center. Release the leg. We'll try that on the other side. So left heel comes in. And again, there's a nice, about a fist width between your foot and your inner thigh there. So start to turn. Keep the hands just on the outside, on the front of the knee there. We'll take that little turn. And then we release the left hand behind you. So right hand this time, or elbow. So you might have to lean forwards to scoot your elbow around the knee, but then see if you can draw the crown of the head right up towards the ceiling there. So the body isn't pitched forwards. You've got your shoulders on top of your hips as you come into that little twist there. One side might feel more comfortable than the other. Beautiful. And then slowly, slowly we'll release. Stretch out the legs and give them a little shake. And then pop your feet behind you and find your way onto all fours there. Spreading your hands nice and wide, bringing your knees underneath your hips there. Lovely. So again, let's think about lengthening through the front body. So take a nice inhale, drop your belly, bring the chest and the gaze forwards. Lovely, arching through the back, and exhale like my angry Milou who was sent out of the room from shame as you come into that nice rounding through the back. Maybe closing the eyes here. Inhaling, really thinking about lengthening through the front body, and exhaling, we're spreading the shoulder blades apart this morning. Beautiful. Let's do a few more like that. I was just reading something online from an osteopath who was giving some exercises to do over Christmas, and this was her top one. She said it's such a good all-round exercise for spinal and digestive health. So that being said, let's do a couple more. Shoulders sliding away from your ears. Keep pressing into your hands even on the inhale so the shoulders aren't collapsing there. Beautiful. So let's inhale into that nice neutral spine this time. And as you exhale, glide your hips back towards your heels. You're going to come into a nice long child pose there. Lifting up onto your fingertips if you can, so your elbows, your forearms are lifted. Have a little wiggle through your hips. So really think about lengthening through both sides of the body there. Forehead might be resting on the floor. Breathing laterally now into the sides of the body again, creating space before we come into our twist. Beautiful. Then we'll flatten the hands, come back onto all fours, ready for our little thread needle. And what I want you to think about as you take that right arm up towards the ceiling, just pause there for a moment. And sometimes we can almost like shift the weight back a little bit there. So think about bringing your chest and the crown of the head forwards as you take that nice inhale. And as you exhale, soften the supporting elbow and reach underneath. Twice more. So inhale, right arm lifts, chest and crown of the head forwards. And exhale. Beautiful. So this next time we'll hold. So inhale, arm coming up. And exhaling, arm threading through. So you're coming down onto the side of the head there. So again, you want the weight forward. So shift the weight forwards onto that shoulder. Beautiful. So option 2, just move that left hand a little bit further away from you. And option this morning, if you wish to stretch the left leg back behind you, coming onto the ball of the foot. So right arm is threaded through, left leg stretched back behind you. Option to lift that leg, left leg lifting, flexing the foot. Ooh, a little bit of work through the core there. And then lower the foot. Lovely. So keep that left leg extended as you take the right arm all the way back up towards the ceiling. Uh-oh, he's back. And then we'll bring both hands down underneath your shoulder. Lovely. So we've got that left leg back behind you. Have a little rock back and forth, finding some space in the leg. Lovely. And then we'll just pick up the left leg and step it over your right leg. Ball of foot to floor. Push the heel away from you and just take a little peep over your right shoulder. So we're getting a lovely stretch through the left side of the body there. Lovely. We'll come back all the way back to center, bringing the hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, ready for that thread needle on the other side. So left arm lifting. Again, pause just on that first one. So left arm lifts. Make sure you've not shifted the weight back. So crown of the head and chest coming forwards. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, feed that arm underneath. Oh, Milou. Inhale, take the arm up, chest coming forwards. And as you exhale, feed that arm underneath. If you can, if you haven't got a fairy friend there. So take the arm up last time. So this time you're going to feed that left arm all the way through. So you're just coming down onto the side of the shoulder again. Shift your weight forward. Lovely. So you're really sending the weight into that underneath shoulder. And then option this time to take the right leg back behind you. So left arm threaded underneath, right leg back. Option to lift it just hip height. Toes down towards the floor, flexing the foot. Ooh, waking up through the core. And then we'll lower that foot. Press into your right hand as you take the left arm all the way up towards the ceiling. And then we'll bring both hands down to the floor. So right leg extended this time. Pressing the heel away from you, firming up through your belly. And then we'll just step right foot over left leg this time. Stretch the heel away from you as you take a little peep over your left shoulder. So this time a lovely stretch through the right side of the body. Beautiful. We'll come back to center, bringing both knees underneath the hips, ready for a downward dog as opposed to a lazy cat this morning. So we tuck the toes under and shift the hips up and back into a downward dog. Start that little pedal out through your feet this morning. Really, you're being very naughty. Have a little shake of the head. Yeah, let's open up some space in the backs of the legs there. And you might want to add a little twist here, having a little peep underneath one armpit and then the other, if that feels nice. And then coming to stillness with the legs, so making sure the feet are hip width apart. Pop a little bend in your knees and see if you can stretch your hips up and back, maybe an inch or so higher. Lovely. And then you might start to lower the heels. So if you want to keep your knees bent, but you've got that lovely length through the spine, then brilliant. Shifting the weight into your left leg. Let's take the right leg up and back, turning the toes out ever so slightly to get a nice hip stretch. We're going to rise onto the ball of that left foot, take a nice inhale, and as you exhale, step or help your right foot forwards inside of the right hand and we'll drop the back knee. Lovely. So let's rise up into a low lunge, sweeping the arms up as you inhale. And as you exhale, let's bring the hands down to the heart. Lovely. So we're going to take a little twist towards that right knee. Shift the weight forward so you can hook your elbow over your thigh. Press your palms together. And those of you with more kind of openness through your shoulders and your chest, you might bring your thumbs right back towards your heart. For others, your hands might still be a little bit lower. Lovely. Option to lift the back knee. You can keep the knee down. And then we'll separate the arms, reaching one arm up and the other arm down. So we're coming into a quite strong twist there. Lovely. So we're going to come back the way we came. So let's bring the palms together, thumbs towards your heart. Lower that back knee. We'll come all the way back into that lunge, sweeping the arms up. And as you exhale, let's bring the hands down to frame that front foot. Pick up the back knee, we'll start to move the hips up and back, taking that right leg all the way up behind you into a three-legged dog. Lovely. And as you exhale, let's come forwards to plank, shoulders above your wrists as you lower that right foot. Lovely. Exhaling, lowering yourself down, knees might come down first. Flattening your feet into a little cobra as you inhale. And as you exhale, let's tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Again, taking a chance to have a little pedal out. Let me just adjust my screen slightly. I'm just aware you can't see my arms. Beautiful. Should we try that with the left leg, team? So again, hips nice and high, maybe a little bend in the knees, shift the weight to your right foot, and we'll take the left leg up and back, turn the toes out, a little bit of hip opener, and then really lift up onto the ball of that right foot. Take an inhale, exhale, knee to chest, foot to floor, and we'll drop that back knee. Help that foot out if it doesn't quite get there. Lovely, let's find that lunge. So inhale, arms come up. And exhale, let's bring the hands to the heart. So we're going to do that little twist to the left. So we begin to turn towards that left knee, shift the weight forward, so elbow hooks over your thigh. And then we press the palms together. So you're looking towards the left. And again, some of you, your thumbs might be in the center of your chest. Others, they might be a little lower. Option to tuck your right foot. Slowly, carefully lift the knee, needs a little bit of balance. And then we'll separate the arms. So left arm reaching up nice and high. Woo! Beautiful. Back the way we came. Hands come together, thumbs towards your heart. Drop the back knee. Back into that lunge. We'll take an inhale. Raising up with the arms. And as you exhale, we'll bring the hands down. Ready for that little three-legged dog. So we pick up the back knee. Start to move the hips up and take that left leg this time all the way up. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, lower yourself to plank. Left foot lowers. Exhale as you bring yourself all the way down. Remember, your knees might come down first this morning. Inhaling into a little cobra. And this time as you exhale, let's come back into a child pose. Separating your knees this time. Big toes drawing towards one another. Easing your way down. Bottom towards your heels. Let's take a moment once more just to check that you're still breathing into your belly, that the breath hasn't got stuck in our chest somewhere. Lovely. And then we'll find our way back onto all fours, turning both knees forwards, tucking the toes under, back up into your downward dog. But this time we'll walk your feet to meet your hands. So coming into a nice forward fold this morning, a nice deep knee bend. You can cradle your elbows if that feels nice and have a little sway. And obviously anyone that doesn't like having the head lower than their heart, you can just bring your hands just to rest onto your thighs there. Lovely, chest lifted. So if you're down in that forward fold with me, just let everything hang out there for a moment. Beautiful. And then we'll all come up to stand slowly, so releasing the elbows, softening your knees, keep your chin tucked in, a real nice rounding through your back as you slowly, slowly, slowly roll your way up to stand this morning. Beautiful. So we're going to do a little bit of standing practice now. Oh, I can't get my camera right this morning. And a little bit of balance. So obviously those of you who need to use a wall for a little bit of balance, absolutely fine. We're going to bring our feet together. So ankles and big toes touching if you can. Let's bring the hands together at your heart and we'll sink back into a chair pose. So we've got the feet and the knees together this time. Lovely. Beautiful. So hands to heart, keep the chest open. If you feel that your chest is pointing towards the floor there, just lift your hips a little bit. Just come out of that chair pose a little bit more. So we're going to come back into that twist we did before. So we're going to turn towards your right. Lovely. And some of you might even be able to hook your left elbow over your right thigh. Don't worry if you can't. And then we'll all separate the arms. Left arm reaching down, right arm reaching up. So some of you might have the back of that left hand on the outside of your knee. Some of you might be down a little lower. So make sure that you've not swung your hips to one side, that the knees are both facing forwards. Lovely. Let's bring the hands together. Turning back to center, hands to heart. Slowly, slowly rise all the way up to stand, taking the arms up. Big circle of the arms all the way back behind you, coming onto your lower back. Let's roll the shoulders, lift the chest, maybe lift the chin. So really think about lengthening up through your belly after we've squished everything out in that twist. Let's lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Lovely. And then we'll soften everything and bring your hands back to your heart. So we're going to take that little twist to the left. So feet and knees together. Let's find that chair pose. So sit back into your heels, keeping the chest lifted. So remember, some of you might be up quite high. Some of you might be able to sit down a little lower. So we take that twist to the left. So some of you might be able to hook your right elbow over your outer thigh. If you can't, don't worry. And then we'll separate the arms again. So again, some of you might be up a little higher, have the back of the hand against your outer knee or thigh, and some of you might be down a little lower. Woo! Beautiful. Make sure you've not swung your hips over to one side. Bring the hands together. Let's come back, hands to heart, still in that chair pose. Are you ready to rise up? So straightening the legs, taking the arms all the way up. And this time we'll swim the hands back behind you and interlace them if you can. If that doesn't work for you, keep your hands resting on your bottom. Knuckles draw down, chest opens. Lovely, stretch out through the belly. You can stay there this morning, or if your shoulders feel okay, we'll bend the knees as you come into a forward fold and take the arms up and over. Only if that feels good. Beautiful. Hands coming down onto your lower back, and then slowly, slowly sweep the arms forwards and up as you bring yourself up to stand. And then we'll lower the arms and step the feet hip width apart this time for a little bit more balance. Beautiful. So feet and knees hip width apart this time, hands coming to heart. So strong in the legs this one as we find that chair pose again. Ooh, we'll have thighs of steel. Now, option to keep the hands to the heart, or you might want to stretch your arms out, level with your ears, or maybe take them forwards, just chest height. So choice is yours, chest nice and open. Beautiful. Come round to face you. So we're going to straighten up through the legs and pick up your right knee, and we'll take a little twist. Left hand coming across the body. Right arm reaching back behind you. You might even be looking over that back arm. Lovely. Let's take the arms up, lower the foot, back down into that chair pose. Lovely. So take time just to recalibrate before we come to the other side. So this time we'll rise up and we'll bring left knee to chest, right arm coming across this time, left arm reaching back behind you. Lovely. All the way back through center, lowering the foot, reach the arms up, back down into that chair pose. Shall we add the breath? Yes, of course we can. So as we inhale, we rise up, picking up your right knee. And as you exhale, we take that little twist to the right, reaching back through that right arm. Inhale through center, reaching up, lowering the foot. Exhaling back into that chair pose. You ready for the left? Inhale, rise up, picking up left knee, taking that little twist as you exhale. Inhale back through center, reaching up, lowering the foot. Exhaling into that chair pose. We do one more each way. Of course we can. Inhaling up. Take that little twist. So if you're feeling adventurous, you might look over that back arm. Woo! Inhale through center, lowering the foot, reaching up. Chest stays open as you sink down into that chair pose. Last time to the left. Keep the chest nice and tall as you take that little twist. Lovely. Inhale through center. Exhaling into that chair pose. Beautiful. So this time in that chair pose, let's rise up to stand. Keep looking forwards, lengthen up through the arms, and maybe lift your heels. Lovely. Make sure your ankles aren't rolling out to the side. Woo! Lifting, lifting, lifting. Sweep the arms all the way back behind you, finding the lower back. And see again if you can open up through the chest. Maybe, if you're feeling adventurous, lift your eye gaze. Oh, stretching out through the belly. And then slowly, with resistance, lower the heels and relax the arms. Give the hands and the legs a little shake. Ooh, that's woken the thighs up this morning, isn't it? I'm going to step one leg back. It really doesn't matter which. So you can turn and face the long edge of your mat. So take a moment there just to get yourself organized so you can still see me. Beautiful. Hands onto your hip creases. Let's take an inhale and lengthen up through the belly. And as you exhale, let's hinge forwards and bring the hands down just underneath the shoulders there. So walk the hands forward so your belly and your chest are coming forwards there. So you don't want the hands too close towards your feet. Lovely. If I turn sideways on, you can see there, I've got a lovely long flat back. Lovely. Let's bring the left hand underneath the face and take the right arm up. So really think about bringing your chest and your heart forward. So if you can see me there, you see I've got a nice long flat back. Lovely. And then slowly, slowly we'll lower the arm and take it over to the other side. So left arm lifting, keep the crown of the head and the chest coming forwards. Lovely. And then we'll lower all the way down. So right arm lifting, we'll take an inhale. And this time as you exhale, let's see if we can wrap the hand behind you. So you might find your lower back. Some of you might even find the top of the opposite thigh. You can look up or look down. Lovely. Let's release the arm up. And then bring the hand down. Just make sure that the back hasn't shortened as you take the left arm up this time. Wrapping the hand around. So see if you can find your lower back. Just check your lower back is still nice and flat. Some of you might again find the top of your opposite thigh. Lovely. Arm lifting up. And coming all the way down. Lovely. So this time we'll walk the hands even further forwards. See if you can drop your weight back in towards your heels and open your armpits up towards the floor. So it's almost like a wide-legged downward dog position. Beautiful. Walking the hands back towards you. You're going to toe heel your feet towards one another until they're hip width apart. Soften the knees, and as you inhale, slowly rise up to stand. You can sweep the arms out and up if that's comfortable. Lovely. And as you exhale, bring the hands down to your heart. So you might need to turn yourself round on your mat now, so you've got the runway of your mat behind you. We're going to come back into a downward dog. So let's bend the knees as you sweep the arms all the way out and up. Take a nice inhale. We're going to come all the way down. Just pulse forwards as we take that swan dive all the way down. Coming up halfway as you inhale. And as you exhale, let's step back into a downward dog. Last little twist from a downward dog. So this is a curious one. If you don't want to do this one, you can always just take a child pose. Now see if you can take your feet a little wider apart, wider than hip width. And you might want to walk your feet a step closer towards your hands, seeing if you can bring your heels towards the floor. So it's a shorter, wider stance with the legs. Lovely. Your right hand is threading underneath to take hold of the outside of your left ankle. It's quite loading of the shoulders. So if you don't want to do this, take a child pose. You're going to have a little peep underneath your left armpit. Right hand holding outside of left ankle. Ooh, let's release that right hand. This time it's the left hand reaches back, taking hold of the outside of your right ankle. So you're having a little peep underneath your right armpit there. Ooh, and then back into that downward dog. So from that downward dog, let's just bend one knee coming onto the shin and then the other. So this time we're going to join everyone in a child pose if you were there already. Hips drawing to heels, but feed your arms back alongside you. So your back of the hands are on the floor, fingertips are lengthening towards your toes. Just letting the shoulders release, because that's quite a strong one on the shoulders there. Oh, Milou, you're being a real noodle today. Lovely. And then slowly, slowly we'll roll our way up just to sit on our heels. So we're going to come into a pigeon pose in a moment, just for our last little twist. Now, if pigeon pose is too much for you, is too much on your hips, you can always lie on your back and do a recline pigeon, just bringing your legs in towards you. Lovely, like that. Having a little rock out through the lower back. You can always keep your foot on the floor, just press the knee away from you. Or you can have a little version of pigeon where instead of having the back leg straight, you can bend your back knee, meaning you're not very helpful there, blocking the camera. Bend your back knee, and that way it's a little bit softer. So whatever variation you decide to do, I'm going to come into my pigeon from a downward dog, but you can do it from all fours if that's preferable. If you're joining me in a downward dog, you're going to lift the hips all the way up and back. And we'll start by taking the right leg all the way up, right knee coming to chest, and then we angle that right shin diagonally across the mat. So right knee behind right wrist, placing that shin down, and then we slowly slide that left leg back. Remember, you can lean into your right buttock and bend that back knee if you want a softer version. If you're joining me in pigeon, we've got the back leg straight, hips facing forwards. Lovely. So take a moment to get nice and comfortable there, if that's not an oxymoron when it comes to pigeon. We'll take an inhale. And as you exhale, just see if you can come down onto your forearms. If that's not for you, stay up on your hands today. See if you can let go of any clenching, particularly in that right buttock and around the right hip. It's a strong pose. So if you need to prop yourself up on your hands rather than being down on your forearms, feel free to adjust. Hello, you. You are a monstrous beast, aren't you, today? Lovely. It's no good being cute now, Milou. Damage is done. So we're going to come into our last little twist. So we've got our right knee bent. So we're going to take the right arm up towards the ceiling. So we're going to take a little twist. Lovely. Beautiful. And then slowly, slowly, we'll come back down onto our forearms. Let's take a couple of breaths there. Some of you might even be able to straighten the arms out in front of you and lower your forehead towards the floor. But that's a strong pose on the hips. So I'm not going to stay here for too long. One of those Marmite poses, isn't it, really? Lovely. So if you've got your arms fully outstretched, slowly slide yourself back onto your forearms, and then we'll all prop ourselves up onto our hands. So you can always come back onto all fours and change sides. Or if you want to come through a downward dog, tuck your back foot under, lift the left knee, really push into your hands so you can take that right leg back into your downward dog. You might want to have a little pedal out or a little sway of the hips. And then we'll try that little pigeon twist on the left leg. So left leg lifting this time. Knee coming to your chest. And again, shin is now diagonal. So left knee behind left wrist. Shin diagonally across the mat. Ease that right leg back. So again, you can lean into that left buttock and really bend that back knee if you want a softer version. Or squaring up the hips. Take a moment to have a little wiggle and a jiggle. I always feel I've got to move there to get myself comfortable. So let's take a nice inhale as you lengthen the chest. And then as you exhale, if it's comfortable, we'll drop down onto our forearms there. If you want to stay on your hands, feel free. And again, try and soften that underneath buttock. So that left buttock, that's left hip. Try and soften, relax. Lovely. So if you just want to stay there, feel free. If you want to come into that little twist, we lean into that right forearm or right hand if you've got the hand on the floor. So this time we're taking the left arm up. A bit of hip stretch as well there, isn't it? Lovely. And then we'll come all the way back down through centre. And if you want to stretch your arms out fully, so your forehead might rest on the floor, you can always bend your elbows and make a little pillow for your head if you can't quite reach the floor there. So take a moment just enjoying that last little stretch in your pigeon pose. Lovely. And if you've got your arms outstretched, coming back by degrees. So firstly, sliding your forearms back so the elbows are underneath the shoulders. And then we'll all prop ourselves up on your hands. So we'll just lean into that left buttock this time. So you can swish that right leg round and then the left. So we're back into that extended staff pose with the legs extended nice and tall, nice and long. A little softness through the backs of the knees. Let's come back into that forward fold. So inhaling, lifting up through the arms, exhaling as you slowly ease your way down. And this might feel a little bit different than at the beginning of the practice. I can feel my hamstrings are a bit more amenable to stretching out now. It's still a bit tight, so there's a little softness in my knees this morning though. Softening the breath. Lovely. And then we'll walk your hands back up your legs. If you are in a chilly room and you want to pop a jumper back on or have a blanket to hand, feel free before you ease your way down onto your backs, bringing your knees in towards your chest. So you can have a little rock, a little massage there. Before we bring the knees to the chest, but release the arms out level with the shoulders. Last little twist to finish off. So if this is too much, then bring your feet onto the floor, hip width apart, before you bring your knees over to the right. Trying to keep the weight in that left shoulder blade now. So again, option to slide your knees away from your chest for a less intense twist, or scoop them up a little bit more. Lovely. And if you want to add the final cherry on the cake there, we straighten the top leg. So keep the knees together, but you straighten that left leg. And then use your right hand just to rest maybe on top of your calf, or some of you might even be able to take hold of your foot. Right hand holding left foot. And just make sure you've not collapsed in the underneath waist, whatever position of twist you're doing. So can you think about stretching that top hip away from your bottom ribs? So you're pressing that top hip away from you, and you might feel a little lifting of your underneath waist. I think you'll feel it more profoundly if you've got that top leg extended. Lovely. So if you've got that top leg straight, just letting go of your shin or your foot. We'll bend the knees so the knees and the ankles are together. Then use an inhale to roll your way onto your back, bringing your knees to your chest. And then as you exhale, let's tip the knees over to the left. So take a moment to get comfortable. Take a moment to just drop the weight into that right shoulder blade, again adjusting the position of your knees. And an option to straighten the right leg this time. So your knees are still together. Left hand might just rest on your calf or your shin, or you might be able to take hold of your foot and press that top hip away from you. So I can even slide my right hand. I could slide underneath my underneath waist there. That much of a lift by stretching that top hip away. Lovely. And then slowly, we'll let go of your foot or your shin, bending both knees. Lovely. And then use an inhale to come all the way back through center. Just bring your hands onto your knees and have a little massage around your low back. You can rock from side to side, or just circle the knees around there a few times, just releasing any tension from the lower back there. Beautiful. And you might want to come into a nice full body stretch before you allow the body just to soften into a comfortable position for a few moments of rest and relaxation. If you've got to pop off and get back to your busy day, thank you for joining me. But if you've got time, just finish off again with a little bit of work with our breath. So settling the body into something that resembles a comfortable position for you, knees bent or legs outstretched, maybe popping something warm on if you're in a chillier room. And just spend a couple of moments just settling yourself down. So making sure again that your head, your neck and your spine are in a nice long straight line. If you've got your knees bent, you might want to widen your feet and then allow your inner knees just to rest against each other. And then once more, bringing your awareness back to your breath now. Maybe you notice that the breath feels maybe a little bit different than it did at the beginning of the practice. The breath might still be a little bit elevated after the physical movement, so take a moment to allow the breath just to settle into a really natural and easy rhythm that suits you. It'll be different for everybody. And then just as we did at the beginning, you might want to rest one hand just on your upper chest and the other hand on your lower belly, just below your rib cage there. Soften your shoulders and your hands. And then as you breathe in, allowing the abdomen to rise. And as you breathe out, allowing the abdomen to flatten and drop. And see if you can minimize any movement in your chest, any movement in that upper hand. And then allow yourself again a little time for the breath to settle into that regular rhythm. And this lovely belly or abdominal breathing, the most efficient and relaxed way of getting enough air into your lungs. And it's typical of those regenerating processes, such as when you're asleep, when you're digesting food, or when the body is at peace. If you watch babies or children breathe, this is how they breathe effortlessly into their bellies. And if you find the mind is wandering, then again it might help to imagine as you're breathing in, you draw that half circle with your breath around your body. And as you breathe out, you complete the other half of the circle. Breathing in, drawing half a circle with your breath around your body. And breathing out, that's completing that circle. You might notice the breath quite naturally begins to slow down. And you might become conscious of a little pause before allowing your breaths in any distractions, repetitive thoughts, worries, let's come into your mind. Allow them to come and then allow them to go as you bring your attention back to your breathing and back to those half circles. Half a circle with your breath as you breathe in and completing the other half of the circle as you breathe out. Let's just take a few more breaths like that, quietly together. Enjoying these moments of pause before the busyness of the day restarts. And when you're ready to face the rest of the day, the rest of the week, whatever you've got planned, let's bring some feeling gently back into your fingers and your toes, a little bit of gentle movement there. And maybe just keeping your eyes closed as you just turn your head from side to side, just having a little roll across the back of your head. So you might want to just circle your wrists, roll your feet in and out if you're lying down. And you might even want to straighten the legs out and float the arms back, coming into a lovely full body stretch if you wish. If you wish, you can keep your feet on the floor if that's preferable. And then we'll all just bring your knees in towards your chest really slowly. Take your time. And again, you might want to have a little bit of movement there. Before you very slowly just roll yourself quietly onto your left side or your right side. And then find your way back to a comfortable seated position with me. Lovely. I'm just going to rest my hands on my knees. You might want to rest your hands on your palms, wherever feels, your hands on your lap, wherever feels comfortable. Chin dropping down ever so gently towards your chest and your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. So I started the class with that lovely Finnish word, sisu. So reminding ourselves what it is, a courageous mindset that embraces challenges, big and small, an approach to life that's open to trying new things, new experiences, and going beyond what we think might be our limits, whether physical, mental, or emotional. So as we head into these last few weeks and months ahead of us that look challenging before there are brighter days ahead of us, hopefully, with our vaccine and a step closer towards a new normal. Let's remind ourselves that we are braver than we believe, stronger than we seem, smarter than we think, and loved more than we'll ever know. So on that note, we'll bring our hands together at the heart and thanking each other for our practice this morning. Namaste. And sisu to all of us. Thank you, thank you. So you'll have to watch that one back on YouTube to see my little helper coming in at really useful moments.